Well, happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday, October the 28th in the year 2025, and welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tom. Today's show is dedicated to teachers, educators all over the world, and the value that they bring to the world, and certainly the value that they brought into my world. Our G-List guest for today is Dr. Bryan Zugelder. Dr. Zugelder serves as the Dean of the College of Education at Illinois State University, the largest preparer of teachers among all public universities in the United States. Dr. Zugelder brings experiences not only as a first-generation college student, but also from the perspective of a former staff member, tenured faculty member, lab school teacher, and public school teacher. We certainly look forward to that conversation. Our show today, of course, is brought to you by the consulting firm of Best Girl. So let's catch up to Best Girl.
Best Girl is a consulting firm that provides customized leadership, access and inclusion, public relations, communications, and organizational consulting services. Clients include Fortune 500 companies, utilities, higher education institutions, small businesses, and associations. Best Girl's team of consultants, led by Joyce Gilly-Gossam, Emily Hedrick, and Sean Jones, partners with business and education clients to promote organizational effectiveness, communication, motivation, and leadership, with always an impact on the bottom line. Best Girl's customized consulting services include strategic planning, corporate communication, executive coaching, fundraising, and economic development.
Best Girl continues to customize the solution that fits your needs. So let's go to the round table and talk to Barbara Wallace Edwards and Michael Walker this morning and see what they got for us. Good morning, Barbara Wallace Edwards and Michael Walker. How are we doing this morning?
Good morning. Doing great.
What's happening with you, Barbara? What you got in your world?
Well, Tom, there's a lot of stuff going on, but first I want to talk about the Magic City Classic, which was this past weekend. The classic game was, it was wonderful. The festivities, it's spread. It's lasting over a week now, from concerts to day parties and pep rallies and all kinds of receptions, and it was fabulous. Busy week.
Mitzi told me he went.
Oh, I didn't run into Missy this year. I've seen him sometimes at the game, but I did not see him this year. Alabama State won the game. Basically, I clobbered Alabama A&M this year, but it was great.
Did anybody actually watch the game this year, or did they?
A few people did.
Did they parade around? They used
to walk around the state. Yeah, there's still a lot of walking going on, and there were a lot of people who got up and left right after halftime because a lot of people come in just to see the halftime show. And it was like this big exodus of people escaping the stadium right after halftime, after the honeybees left the field. So it was really interesting.
I used to promote that thing for Alabama Power Company, and we were there one time, and we were upstairs, and you had all the food and the drink and all that stuff, and the box and stuff, and we were standing there. At one point, somebody looked down. They said, "Hey, man, the game's over."
Excuse me. Yes.
So I think they have a good time, but I don't think it's the game that makes.
There's some people who are really interested in the game. They're cheering and watching every play, and there's others who it's just a big reunion for them. They're just entertaining their friends and family, and there were tailgates all over the place.
Wow.
Huge, massive group. Yes.
That's good for Birmingham. At one time they were talking about making it a home and home series.
Yes.
And I'm glad they got away from that and
absolutely
Birmingham.
Yes.
It's good for the city.
Yeah, absolutely. That is so true. And of course we know Halloween is coming up this Friday. So everyone needs to be really careful with the little ones out on the streets. The state is asking everyone to make sure that they follow safety tips and use sidewalks, only walking well. There we go. There you go, Tom.
Halloween?
Tom, that's pretty scary. You're gonna run all the kids away from your front door when you wear that
This is the
costume.
way I open the door when the kids come.
Oh wow, that is cool. That is pretty cool. But that thing is hot, I bet.
It is.
Luckily, it may be a little chilly on Friday night, so you can
Yeah,
wear
it may
that.
be.
Be comfortable.
It'll be fun. It'll be
Yeah.
fun. We have a big Halloween thing in this neighborhood, and they bring kids over here in a trailer.
Wow.
In a trailer.
They bring them over here, and then they just let them go on the street, and they're
Right.
just running up and down the street. And
Oh my gosh. I'm going to one of my niece's house, and that's what she was telling me. She's putting together bags, and she said she's doing 250 bags because she's expecting that many or more trick-or-treaters. So I was like, man, that's huge. So some of them really go out of their way for it.
yeah, it's fun. So hopefully
It
everybody has
is.
time and everybody be safe.
I pray that they do. You know, drivers need to make sure they slow down and watch for the little ones as they run across the street, probably from one house to the other. So everyone needs to be very careful.
So, Michael, I know you, whatever you got, but let me just ask you this to start out with. You've been calling for a change in quarterback at Auburn, and you kept saying, well, when are they going to play the guy from Stanford? And they finally played the guy from Stanford, and they actually won the game.
Actually won a game. Isn't that something?
Not only did they win, they came from 17 points down
Behind, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
going away.
It makes you
Well,
wonder why we had to make that change sooner in the in the schedule. But
I that's a good point, but I think it has. My guess, it has to do with NIL.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're paying
Yeah.
a guy $1 million, he's got to play,
Yeah,
even if he's not very good.
Even if he's losing.
Right.
yeah. I mean, heck, they should be giving Tom and I a consulting contract. You know,
That's right.
we sitting up here hundreds of miles away, and we can tell them who needs to be playing. But you know what? What disappointed me the most about that after the game was over with, when the sideline reporter went to Hugh Freeze and said, "Tell us about your quarterback that you put in." And he said, "I like Jackson Dart. I really do." He started talking about Jackson Dart
Jackson
instead
Dart.
of talking. Yeah,
I mean, Jackson
Jackson Arnold.
Jackson Arnold.
He started saying, "I really like Jackson Arnold," and I'm like, "She asked you about Ashton
Ashton
Daniels.
Daniels, right?
You start talking about Jackson Arnold," and and then he later said, he gave us a spark and stuff. That was really telling right there, because he's trying to walk that line. Why not answer the freaking question?
Right.
Okay. This kid just came in and saved your job for at least another week.
Yeah.
And you
Right.
want to talk about Jackson Arnold. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
They're firing coaches in the SEC left and right. Didn't Brian Kelly get fired at
Well,
LSU?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I
he did.
was out of town, but so I was watching the game at the hotel bar for a little, so I couldn't hear it.
Okay.
But man, that man acted ugly on the sideline. God Almighty, he was cussing people out. He was cussing the players. He was cussing the coaches. So I would have fired him too. Just don't make that. Come on, man. You don't behave like that. I mean, he behaved ugly.
Brian Kelly. Yeah. Well, that's what you get.
Hey, I guess if you're losing and if they fire you, you're going to get $40, $50 million, you might cuss a few more people out.
Right.
Get fired.
He was trying to get fired, I think.
Maybe you can get paid quicker.
And not have to deal with all that stress. So
Yeah. That's becoming the best job in sports, is to be a fired college football coach.
Mm-hmm.
Because they pay you not to coach.
Right.
Yeah, they do.
Talking about the bazaar, and I know, Barbara, you mentioned Halloween, but can you imagine this? It took place in Texas. A man that's 23 years old, he broke into his ex-girlfriend's house to surprise her. He hid in the closet with some flowers, money, and cocaine.
Oh my God.
Okay. Now, the ex-girlfriend comes home with her new boyfriend. They go into the room. They decide they're going to take a shower, and the new boyfriend decides to go to the laundry room to get some clothes, and there this guy's in there.
Wow.
Bang, bang, bang. So the 23-year-old shoots the man, kills him.
Oh,
She
man.
runs out because she hearing these gunshots and stuff, and the kid that killed him, took her phone because she was trying to call 911, and she was said, "Give me my phone, I gotta help him," and stuff like that. And he threw her the phone, and he took off running, and he was later captured and everything. But the mere fact that, one, you have somebody that I guess you guys are estranged, you break up with. This person breaks into your house and they're going to surprise you with flowers, money, and cocaine. That implicates you into something else. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Wow.
I mean, that's bizarre.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's trying to say it was an accident and he did it. No. But
No,
anyway,
that's no accident. He
no.
didn't hide in that
Well,
closet by accident, break in the house by accident.
there
Yeah.
was a trial this week of this police officer who killed this woman,
Yes.
who had called him.
Mhm.
For help.
Yeah,
help. Yes.
she was doing something, boiling something on her stove or something.
Boiling a pot of water.
Yeah, she was in her kitchen and she was boiling water, but she had called the police because she thought there was a prowler outside her home.
Mm-hmm.
And so the police shows up, and this guy that ends up killing her, she was in her kitchen and stuff. And you can tell her house was very much disheveled. So you would think that there may be something going on. And I think, I may be wrong, but I think there may have been some mental acuity issues there. But she had water. She was away from him. She was at least 10 feet away from him.
She was on the other side of the room.
Right.
Right.
And the things, Michael, he told her to remove the pot of hot water from the stove. He asked her to take it off the stove because he didn't feel comfortable with the pot of water boiling. And then she picks it up. She'd actually put it down. And he said, he made some statement about don't come near me or whatever. And she said, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." And that's when he said he felt threatened by her statement. That she said, "I rebuke in the name of Jesus." And she was actually kneeling down, shielding herself, and he shot her in the face. So it wasn't, she didn't have the pot of water in her hand at that moment. It sounds like there's no way this man could be found innocent. I just,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's,
let me let's quickly, because we're doing education. We talk about educators, and you have a favorite teacher, Barbara?
Oh my gosh, I have a lot of them, but one that quickly comes to mind was my ninth grade English teacher. And she, first of all, I think she, because of her age, we connected with her. All of the students really connected with her really well. But she was the one that started my inspiration to actually want to go to college. Because before that, I was wanting to be a secretary, and it was just something about her and the way she connected with the students, and I think we could all relate to her so well. But yes, one of my favorites, but I have many.
Michael?
well, like Barbara, I had quite a few that made such a positive impact on my life. But I remember my first, second, and third grade teachers, all for different reasons. But I say my second grade teacher, she really put an emphasis on diction and emphasizing that we speak correctly and pronounce words. And I have to say that really stuck out with me. And I often think about her lessons and what have you from that standpoint. So I'd say my second grade teacher with my first and my third.
Yeah, well, and I think for me, probably my high school speech teacher, Miss Horn. She was, matter of fact, I've got an article in the office here about her. She was pretty great, and she, they said, "Well, take speech because it's easy." But wasn't nothing easy about Miss Horn. And
Sometimes the teachers that were the more strict were probably your favorites because they pulled more out of you.
she said she had me to give a speech, and I went home and wrote a speech about how to fry a hot dog, and because I wanted it to be funny and I wanted everybody to laugh,
Right.
and everybody laughed and stuff, and she except her. She asked me to stay after class, and I was like, "Uh-oh." And Miss Horn was a big lady, and she could grab you by your ear and take you down to your knees, buddy. And she asked me to stay after class, and I said, "Oh man." And after class, she told me, she said, "You could be really good at this if you put some effort into it, and if you tried." And it was like, that's it? That's all you gonna do? I did. It was like, okay. And
Wow.
it led me on, and a couple of weeks later, she got me on the staff of the school newspaper, and I started writing for the newspaper. She was a wonderful lady.
Cool.
Well, I guess you had a real good imagination. You wrote a speech on how to fry a hot dog.
I know. I was going to say, I've never heard of a fried hot dog, Tom, but
You put it in the skillet, let it get, you gotta get it. You gotta get that black part on there. That's when it tastes really good. And she was great. We had some good teachers. I had a lot of nuns, and they you had to learn. They were there to teach you. They wasn't there to just abide by you and get along with you. They were there to teach you something. It was absolutely wonderful. What else you guys got before we move on?
I got something that's pretty interesting. Barbara, have you ever been fishing? You like to go fishing? Do you fish?
As a younger person, I did, but I haven't been in years, Michael.
Okay. What about you, Tom? Do you fish any?
I have, but I haven't done any lately. Yeah.
Okay. Well, as a kid, I used to love to go fishing. I used to go fishing a lot, and I love to fish for catfish. In Poland, there was a group of fishermen that went out, and they caught a 9.6-foot catfish.
What?
Wow.
A 9-foot catfish, and it's the biggest one on record.
You say in Portland? Or Poland?
Poland.
Wow.
Yes. And it's an area in Poland where they're known for having big fish. And this one was huge. They didn't say what kind of bait they use, but the fish's head is about this big around. That fish can literally eat you.
Right. Right.
Just think about a catfish.
I wonder what was he eating to be that big.
I have no idea. But they got a picture of him, and it's just amazing how big. And it's 4 people standing behind and holding the tail, and they look very small beside this catfish.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did they get him out of the water?
That's what I want to know.
They didn't even say. They just talked about the bait and the line that they use, and they had to use a line that weighed between 80 and 120 pounds, braided, in order to pull him in. That was one of the things that they talked about using, and these big hooks to get it.
So undoubtedly, they were expecting to reel in a really big fish.
Yes, they were. So that's amazing to do that, man.
Yes, it is.
I was out in the back one day, and I was down in the water replacing our ladder, getting it straightened out, whatever. And man, I looked to my left, and it was a big manatee swimming through the water.
Oh, wow.
I scrambled and got out that water so fast. Paid attention to me, just kept going, and
wow.
That thing was huge, man.
That would have been a little scary.
So I got out of there. Anything else?
Tom, I just have one more thing to mention. We've talked about people getting into politics, and guess who's the latest person to enter the political arena in the state of Alabama? Feinbaum too, but no, AJ McCarron. former
Oh, yeah, I heard.
quarterback, Alabama, is saying he's going to run for lieutenant governor. Strange thing is, man has never voted in the election. He registered to vote 2 days before he announced his campaign.
He sounds like a Tommy Tuberville clone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He's actually come out to say he can't wait to be the lieutenant governor for Governor Tommy Tuberville. And they're going to work together to. I'm like, man, what is wrong with these people?
What's wrong with the people in the state?
That is so true.
Vote for them. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So we got Tuberville talking about running for governor. AJ McCarron, who's never voted before, running for lieutenant governor, and now Feinbaum saying he's going to run for the Senate seat that Tommy's going to be vacating. So pray for us in Alabama.
I just don't understand why they vote for him.
I don't either. Yeah. Well, we do know why, but we know why.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave it at that.
I'm gonna leave it at that myself. So, let's move on. Let's go to Sean. I think she's got a minute for us. Sean, you got a minute out there?
To everyone joining in with us, my name is Shantia Jones, and this has Got a Minute. Yesterday was Dia los Moscatos y los Animales Difuntos, which translates to the Day of Pets and Deceased Animals. In many parts of Mexico, October 27th is the day when people honor deceased pets, and animals is part of their Dia de los Muertos traditions. It's believed that on this date, the spirit of animals return to visit their homes and loved ones, the ones who loved and cared for them in life. People often place photos, toys, collars, or favorite treats of their past pets on the altar, also known as the ofrenda. They light candles and add marigolds to help guide their spirits back home. They say prayers or express gratitude for the joy and love their animals brought to them. Thank you all for joining in. My name is Shantia Jones, and this has Got a Minute.
That was great.
That is great.
That was nice.
Great.
Yes.
Reminded me of Sam and Sally, my two little dogs.
Yes.
Man, those dogs love me, and I love them. They were incredibly special. So anyway, well, let's go for Hollywood's got the A list, and here on Tuesdays with Tom, we have the G list. Our G list guest today is Dr. Bryan Zugelder. He serves as the Dean of the College of Education at Illinois State University, the largest preparer of teachers among all public universities in the United States. He brings experiences not only as a first-generation college student, but also from the perspective of a former staff member, a tenured faculty member, a system and state level leader, a university administrator, and a public school teacher, which we just had that conversation, so we'll have to ask him about that. Bryan has worked in 4 different states. His perspectives on education policy run broad and deep. He has led externally funded projects totaling more than $44 million. And his second grade teacher, Mrs. Pereira, hope I pronounced it right. If not, he'll correct me, inspired him to pursue a career in education where he maintains his roots as an elementary school teacher. So let's bring Bryan on. Good morning, Bryan. How are you?
Good morning. I hope you can hear me. We had a little technical difficulties backstage, but I think we got it figured out.
Yeah, I can hear
We
you
can hear
fine.
you.
We
Yes.
occasionally have a little technical difficulty, and we generally work it out.
Yes,
So
we do. Yes, yes. And I'm
glad you got
grateful
it.
to, yes, our amazing IT director over here at ISU and the College of Education, Matt Gromer. Give him a shout out for running over here to help me figure out the audio and visual and all that good stuff.
You didn't have that what I call that 5 minute panic, did you?
It was about a 5.5 second panic. But the show
Believe,
must go on.
believe me,
Right.
we've all been through it.
Yes,
You
we have.
know, I think about a week or so ago, mine wouldn't cooperate, and you just sitting there fussing at it, and
Yeah.
it won't act right.
I ran out into the office here, and I think the whole College of Education ran upstairs trying to figure out how to get it. And we got it. We got it.
So before we start with the questions, Bryan, what would you like to just kind of lead off with as far as what you're doing there?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to my pets, because I love how Shantia gave a shout out in honor of Day of the Pets. So my current pets are Louie and Pumpkin. They're our Chihuahuas, and we had Chispita and Luna, who are our deceased Chihuahuas. So we continue to remember them. So, yes,
I
I
hear
wanted to
you.
give a shout out to them.
I've got Sam and Sally buried in the front yard here.
Okay.
And it was
Well,
a
we
long
have
time before
Chispa
we
and
bury them. I had them cremated and I kept them in the house. And I said, I think I'm going to have to go on and bury them. But they were
yeah,
wonderful. And they were just
yes,
great.
they give
So,
unconditional love.
Barbara, you got a question?
I
They
do.
do. They do.
Dr. Zugelder, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And you've been dean now at University of Illinois for what, 8 months now?
Just about 4 months
4 months.
here at Illinois
Okay.
State. Yep.
Great.
So started July 1st and have really enjoyed it. One of the things I wanted to also mention, if you don't mind, is I heard Michael talking about his second grade teacher, and when you introduced me, Tom, and you mentioned Mrs. Purrier, my second grade teacher, I do want to share a little artifact with you, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
So when, I've been in higher education for a little over 20 years. This is my 28th year as a public educator because I started in the public schools. But I grew up in a trailer park in East Orlando, Florida. And my dad got a GED, didn't graduate from high school. My mom, she got pregnant right out of high school. And so I had teenage parents, and, I, just was so fortunate to have some amazing teachers. And when I went to Bonneville Elementary School in Orlando, in East Orlando, because back then, there was nothing out there. It was just a little 2-lane road in the middle of nowhere. And if you go there now, you'll see it's about 10 lanes with shopping centers and highways and all kinds of stuff. But it was my second grade teacher, Mrs. Purrier, who made a difference in my life. And I had kept in touch with her over the years, and it kind of fizzled out. But one day when I was sitting at the University of Central Florida as an administrator, in the College of Education there, I received an email from Mrs. Purrier, and the subject said, Dr. Zugelder. And I looked at the sender of the email. It said Linda Purrier. And I said, oh, I remember Linda Purrier. She was my second grade teacher. So I opened up the email, and she said, Dr. Zugelder, I am so proud of you. I've looked you up on the internet, and I'm still teaching today, or it was her last week of teaching. Wow. She said, this is my last week of teaching, and I would love for you to come see me on my last day of teaching.
Wow.
And I said, absolutely. So I went to the school where she was teaching. It wasn't the same school where I went. And I spent her last day of teaching with her. And she kept this book of smiles from every year that she taught.
Wow.
And she wanted me to have my second grade class book of smiles. And so she gave this to me. And you can see it's kind of beaten and battered. You know, it's a real artifact here. It's 40 years old.
Wow.
But in the, I was flipping through the photo album, and let me see if I can pull this out for you. I was flipping through the photo album, and I saw a picture of myself sitting on a bar stool in the front of the class giving the spelling test because I got 100 on my pre-test. And I always really tried really hard to get 100 on my pre-test so I wouldn't have to take the real test at the end of the week. So every time I got 100, she would allow me to sit on the bar stool with the teacher's edition and give the spelling test to my class. And here's a picture of me. And next to that picture, she wrote Professor Zugelder.
Wow.
So that is the power of a teacher. You know, she really spoke that into my life. I never thought I would end up being a professor, let alone a dean. And it really all goes back to that moment from Mrs. Perrier. So I just wanted to put that out there because, you know, I think we can all remember our favorite teacher and who made that difference in our lives.
Yes, for sure.
That's
Yes,
awesome.
yes, amazing story.
It
yes,
is.
yeah,
It really is.
it's come full circle too, as a matter of fact. So
Yes.
it's amazing.
Yes. Yes.
Who's got a question here?
I do. Bryan, I'd like to ask you, first of all, what is a principal investigator? A principal investigator, and how did that work lead you to raising $44 million externally?
That's a great question. So a principal investigator really is the person who's responsible for the project. And so I've been fortunate to have a lot of externally funded projects that, you know, together with grant funded agencies, legislative appropriations, private foundations to support some of the initiatives that I've dreamt about doing to really help strengthen the educator pipeline. And so I think the people who have invested in that work have bought into that vision. And so that's how I ended up being the principal investigator. So technically, I'm the one that would apply for the grant. And then if the grant is awarded, I would be the one responsible for making sure the grant or the externally funded project through, say, a private foundation, which has been a lot of my work, has been carried out to fruition. So I was the one responsible for making sure that the day-to-day operational pieces, the visionary parts of the project were carried out, and then reporting on the outcomes. And so a lot of those projects that I've had were all related to how to support educators at various points on their continuum throughout their journey. So one example of a project that I led was our Grow Your Own project when I was at James Madison University. And that was a $2.2 million per year project that provided support for students from school districts that had, you know, a track record of high turnover of teachers, lots of different rural settings where not a lot of people really wanted to go and live and work. And so it was a way to attract people from the community who they loved that community. They wanted to pour back into that community. So we provided them with access to the university so they could fulfill their dreams, get their degree in education, and return back to their community to serve their community and teach. So that's just one of the projects where I served as principal investigator that I'm very proud of.
It's great.
Awesome. Yes.
Barbara?
Yes. Dr. Zugelder, Illinois State is the largest preparer of teachers among all public universities in the United States. That is major. What are you doing there to attract this numbers of teachers, people who are interested in education, and how have you accomplished that?
Yeah, that's a great question. ISU, its legacy is teacher education. ISU started in 1857 as a normal school for teachers. And we opened up the school the same day we opened up our laboratory schools. So it was really a place for us to train teachers and train the best teachers. The legacy of ISU has continued. Our motto is really, gladly we learn and teach. And we also teach and learn. It's a reciprocal process. So the legacy, the reputation that ISU has carried all these years as being the premier leader in Illinois for training teachers, that has been an infectious model across the country. And people really look to ISU for hiring teacher education graduates. I think in Illinois, 1 out of every 6 teachers is an Illinois State University graduate. That's pretty impressive. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
But I also think too that what leads to our, being a large preparer of teachers is the kinds of support that we provide for our students. I mean, we're really invested in retaining our students when they come here. We're invested in helping them succeed in the classroom. We give them lots of experiences so they are in schools early on, learning what it means to be a teacher, observing teachers, interacting with teachers, teaching small group lessons, doing read alouds with students. And just last year, of all of our teacher ed majors combined, they completed 815,000 hours of clinical practice in schools. So they leave here with lots of experiences. So it's no surprise by the time they graduate what it means to be a teacher. They've seen a smart board before they left. They've seen, back in my day, it was a chalkboard. And so, they aren't surprised. So I think that has a lot to do with it. Our faculty are extremely energetic, enthusiastic. They're very connected to the field, what's happening in the real world, informing what's happening in schools, and the schools are informing us. So we're planning together, co-constructing what education should be like together. And I think all of that combined really leads to why people look to ISU as the leader in teacher education.
Absolutely. That's amazing.
My Joyce, my wife, you met, but she tells the story of how she ended up at Illinois State. She was interested in being an educator. And so she wrote a letter to the Secretary of Education, and I can't remember who it was then, Casper Weinberg, somebody who was the secretary. And she wrote a letter to him asking him what was the best school for education for her to go to when she graduated from high school. And he told her Illinois State was the best school for educators in the country. And that's where she ended up.
That's amazing.
I remember when Joyce told me that story when I first met Joyce. And that was such an impressive, first of all, that was really impressive of Joyce to, who better than the U.S. Secretary of Education?
Right.
Should I ask? That was pretty clever. And the fact that he could,
if you think about it, her mom went to Illinois. And so for her to then go to Illinois State was a departure. And so, but she had her backup. The Secretary of Education said, this is where you ought to be. So.
Well, all I can say to that is Joyce is lucky that the current Secretary of Education wasn't there then. Because she thinks that AI is A1 steak sauce.
Micah, you're right.
I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it.
She might end up in the wrestling federation if that was the case.
One thing we can say about the current administration is they give us a lot of laughs. On top of it being sad, it's fun.
Yeah, you have to laugh to keep from crying.
Who else has got a question?
Bryan, I want to say a couple things. One, that's quite impressive.
Yes.
When you talked about when you were in school, they had the chalkboard, and now they have a smart board, and so now people are trained and they know what that is. So I guess they got away. You remember that screeching sound when the chalk would break on the board and all that stuff, and the scratching. So all of that is gone now, huh?
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know if you all, I don't know if you've ever gotten to watch the news, the local news in Orlando, Florida, but it's pretty sensational. I mean, it's very sensational. And one day when I was teaching 5th grade at Wicklow Elementary School in Seminole County Public Schools in Sanford, Florida, I got word that the news wanted to do a story on how there are still chalkboards in schools. And I was the only teacher in the whole school who had a chalkboard. They showed up and they did a whole story on why I had a chalkboard. But I love my chalkboard. I really do.
That's funny. That's great. That's great. Okay, I'll get serious now. So, Bryan, when you were at JMU University, you basically forged 3, I think it says, graduate certificate programs, or 3 master's degrees, and then a doctorate degree in educational. Tell me, was that a heavy lift, and how heavy of a lift it was to get them to look at certificates? Because I think that was probably foreshadowing what's happening now, because you got a lot of universities doing that. Tell us about that.
Yeah, the educator pipeline is changing. And so we have to look at how we do things differently. And we still have value in the traditional ways of preparing educators. The traditional model is you go to university, maybe a couple years later, you go back and you get your master's degree. But a certificate program really allows you the opportunity to gain some skills and some expertise in a niche area. And the certificate programs that we designed at James Madison University were designed to give people a taste of graduate school. And what we did was we allowed them to bring all of those courses into a master's degree if they chose. But if they wanted to just stop at the certificate, they were issued, and this is something that I worked with that university to do. I said, if we're going to give them a certificate, we need to actually give them a certificate. Let's print out a certificate.
Right.
And so it is something. It is something. So we gave them a diploma-like certificate, and it really helped them say, I have this level of expertise in certain areas. The one area that I'm the most proud of, the certificate program, is the certificate program in teacher leadership. And when I was on the faculty at East Carolina University in North Carolina, I was amazed at the hundreds and hundreds of teachers who were interested in teacher leadership, because in North Carolina, they did away with giving advanced pay for master's degrees or higher. They also, they also did away with teacher tenure. And so teacher leadership was an opportunity for teachers to say, I don't want to be an administrator, but I want to learn how to be a leader in my own classroom, a leader in my school, a leader for the community, and a leader for the profession. And so that concept kind of started at East Carolina. And yes, like we do in education, I brought that concept to James Madison University and really built this capacity of a culture of teacher leaders. And the one thing I love about teacher leader is just by virtue of their position alone, every teacher is a leader. And I used to hear some of my colleagues say, well, but if you're a beginning teacher, you can't be a leader. You don't have enough experience. And I beg to differ, because every day when you close that door and you are the manager of 20, 40, sometimes 180, depending on if you're teaching middle school or high school, you are making extremely important decisions minute by minute that impact people. And so that indeed is leadership. And so that was the thing that I really loved about teacher leadership. Another thing too, you brought up the doctoral program. This is an interesting connection because we developed the EDD program at JMU for the first time. And it was not an easy task to get the state to agree that they needed another doctoral program in Virginia. Some of the state leaders at that time felt that there were enough doctoral programs in Virginia, and Virginia didn't need another doctoral program. But we had all this data that showed people wanted to come to JMU for their doctoral degree because JMU had a great reputation. It also started as a normal school for teachers. And so we had a lot of school district employees who didn't have access to advanced degrees. And so they said, okay, we finally got them to say, okay, but the last thing that you need to do to get this degree approved is you need to reach out to some universities that you've never worked with before and get them to review your program, just to write a recommendation letter and give some recommendations on how you could improve. So I went and I looked far and wide because, you know, I have been connected to a lot of people in my career and they wouldn't let me connect with anybody I've ever worked with before. Well, I just stumbled upon Illinois State University College of Education before I even knew they were looking for a dean. And I said, you know, I remember how amazing Illinois State University is. So I reached out to the department chair of Educational Administration and Foundations here at ISU when I was at JMU and asked her to come to Harrisonburg, Virginia to review our program. And I also invited someone from North Dakota State. And they came, they reviewed our program, gave us good feedback, and they wrote a very strong recommendation letter for why James Madison University needed that EDD. So that was another full circle moment when I ended up here at ISU. So, you know, it's just a reminder that we're all connected in this business and we're all in this together, which is what I love about my profession.
That's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive.
That's a great story.
Yes, it
that
is.
reminds me when the teachers used to say 6 degrees of separation.
Great.
You remember that?
Yes.
They used to say that.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Barbara, you got something
Yes,
else?
Bryan, you've served as the national and international levels for organizations such as Education Deans for Justice and Equity, Association of Teachers Educators, and I Debate with Rhonda. Talk about
Yes.
those organizations and what part did you play in those?
Oh, yes. Well, 3 of my favorite organizations. Let me start with I Debate Rwanda. I kind of serendipitously landed in Kigali, Rwanda, because a colleague of mine was connected to this organization called I Debate. And they were very interested in helping connect their work to the field of education. And so I was invited to go to Rwanda, meet the stakeholders of I Debate. And I said, you know, I mean, as a teacher, yeah, I understand what debate is, and speech and debate are very important, but that's not really my area of expertise. But let me just go and see what this is about. What I discovered about I Debate Rwanda was a true exemplar of social justice in the country of Rwanda. They are deeply involved in the ministries of education, tourism, recreation, sports management, and health. And they truly helped us transform a mindset about how education can play a key role in all of these things. So I serve on their advisory board, and I still to this day do. And I just met with my good friends from I Debate Rwanda. I think maybe it was 5 or 6 days ago. So one of the things that we have done with I Debate Rwanda is help them see that education can be the center of all of these things. So I established the task force for partnerships with Rwanda when I was at James Madison University. And one thing I discovered is while the educators were important to be at the table, I also needed to bring professors from psychology, from health and behavioral studies, from assessment, from sports management, hospitality management. And we kind of studied together what we can do in a way to help each other and benefit one another. ATE, Association of Teacher Educators, I'm on the National Teacher Leadership Task Force, and very proud of that work because what we're trying to do is bring incentives and standards around what it means to be a teacher leader in schools. And some states have already defined what teacher leadership means. Other states have not. Some states give incentives like if you're a teacher leader, you get a little bump in pay. Some states do not. So we're really looking at how to inform the country on how teacher leadership is a great teacher retention strategy to help keep people invested and caring and want to stay in the profession. And then the other organization, Education Deans for Justice and Equity, is a wonderful organization. And it really is deans from across the country who want to be a part of a national conversation about what it means to really make sure that we are thinking from an equity mindset when it comes to teacher education. And so there's a framework for what we look for in terms of how are we spending our resources? How are we making sure that our programs are inclusive? How do we look at how we treat faculty, staff, students? And I've been a part of that organization for a couple of years. When I was an associate dean, I helped lead the associate dean's professional development opportunities. I've hosted a few national webinars in that space. And now that I'm a dean, obviously I am, an official dean in that group, and really enjoy connecting with my colleagues on that front.
Awesome. Thank you.
So, Bryan, let me ask you this because we talk about deans and so on and so forth, and you're talking about education. Tell us what a dean does on a daily basis.
Oh, that is such a great question. Well, it depends on what hour of the day we're talking about. Well, this is what I think a dean really is supposed to be. So technically, we are the chief academic officer for our college. We are also the chief executive officer for our college. So at a university, the president obviously is the CEO for the whole university, but colleges are their own kind of independent enterprise that funnels through and connects across the university. So as the dean, I have to make sure that our resources are in good shape, our budget is balanced, but I also want to make sure that the working conditions of faculty, staff are healthy and desirable, that people want to be here. And then also, most importantly, every decision that is made must have the student as the center. What is, if we can defend that this decision was best for students, then it was a good decision. And so all of those things combined is really just what a dean does. You know, the other thing is being outward facing, letting people know about all of the good work that we're doing. We don't want to be tucked away in a corner. We really want everyone to know all of this good work that we're doing. So bringing that national reputation to the university is an important role of the dean. And then, of course, also stewarding the donors and funders who are invested in our work and developing relationships with them. That is really important, the role of the dean. And to really make sure that, I mean, my approach is to implement a spirit of shared governance. You know, being a teacher leadership person, it's hard for me not to want to make sure that we are getting buy-in from everyone, that everyone's voice matters, that everyone has a role to play, and everyone is an important contributor to our work. So it's a complex role, but it is such a rewarding job. And I really enjoy being a dean, especially Dean of the College of Education at Illinois State University.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
Any final questions from anybody?
I have just one question. In the Education Deans for Justice and Equity, would you give us what an academic definition of equity is? What does that mean?
That is a very good question. Well, you know, equity means that we are giving people what they need. And I mean, I would say that that's not really an academic definition, but it really is a practical definition that everyone needs something, and everyone needs something kind of differently than what other people might need. And so, how are we providing the tools to help people understand that, you know, everybody has a different perspective. Everybody has a different life story. Everybody has a different background. And we have to understand the context of each person we're working with. And we have to address that. You know, I think the difference between equity and being equal is, or establishing something that is equal. Equal means we give everybody the same thing. We treat everybody the same way. Equity is we give people what they need to help them thrive and succeed from their own context. And, you know, as a classroom teacher, when I was an elementary school teacher, that's exactly what I tried to do every single day. There were some kids who needed me to, you know, talk with them one-on-one and be very direct with them. And there were other kids that would cry if I did that. And I had to understand that I have to treat them in a way that they need so that they can grow. And that is kind of how I see equity come into play, is giving people what they need so that they can thrive and succeed and meet their fullest potential.
That's great.
Yes, it is.
When I played football at Auburn, it was in the beginning of sports integration in the South, and our coach insisted that he was going to treat everybody the same. We're going to treat everybody the same. We're not having any differences, and so on and so forth. But that didn't work because everybody wasn't the same. We didn't all come from the same backgrounds, the same this, that, and the other. And I think when people take offense with equity and inclusion, they're missing the picture.
They are.
And to me, they're preying on other people's ignorance.
Yes.
Who don't know. You know, one of the things when we were, I was in this meeting this week, and somebody said, and one of the subjects was we have this group of scholars, young kids, And so one of the things they were promised was to go to Italy this year. And somebody pointed out the value in them going to Italy was to see something beyond where they come from, and to know that there's a different way of life out there that works just as well or better than maybe the system you're working under. And some people take offense with that.
Right.
And so we were fighting, not fighting literally, but we were working diligently, let me put it that way, to keep this trip on the schedule for the young people. And so it goes back to that whole definition you gave of equity, how people are, just their experience,
Everyone has a beautiful story, and we have to understand who everyone is at an individual level. And to me, that is inclusivity, is appreciating and valuing people for what they bring to the world. And, that modeling that and truly, genuinely enacting that and just your daily conversations and interactions is really key. And for me as an educator, everybody's watching me. And as a leader, everybody's paying attention to me. And I want to make sure that I am demonstrating that I love people for who they are, where they are, what they have, and I'm going to help each individual get to where they want to go, because that, in my mind, is equity.
Well said.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, man. It's been wonderful having you on. I'm glad we had this interaction a few weeks ago, and
I know,
and you promised you're going to come down and see us now, so
we will be. Yes, we will. And this has been such an honor. Yes I look forward to spending more time with you and Joyce, and it was such an honor to be a part of this today. Thank you, Barbara, Michael, Shantia as well, and Emily. Got to give a shout out to Emily.
Yeah.
Appreciate everything that you all did. This has just been such a joy. What a great start to my day.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank
for being
you.
with us, and we appreciate you very much. We'll be back in touch.
All right. You all have a good day.
All right.
Same.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Well, my closing comment for today, or as I see it, when I reflect back on the educators who influenced my life, those teachers who made a difference for me, I can think of several. Ms. Horn, who I mentioned earlier, was my speech teacher and my friend. She's probably at the top of that list. She encouraged me as a public speaker and as a writer. Mrs. Sykes taught me English. Coach Porter was influential in my being involved in sports integration in Birmingham and in the state of Alabama. Coach Craig gave me the ball. He said, "Run, Thomas," and I did. Mrs. McGee offered me encouragement in the 4th grade. Dr. Overstreet introduced me to Reader's Theater and Malcolm X. They all made a difference for me, and for that, I am grateful. And that's our show for today. We want to thank the audience. We appreciate you. We want to thank our G-List guests. Thank our sponsor, Best Girl Inc. Thanks again to the TWT team of Barbara, Sean, Emily, Michael, and Joyce. And thanks again to the audience. And that's it for this October 28th in the year 2025. Happy Halloween. Enjoy it. Remember, a day without a smile is a day wasted. Enjoy yourself. Make every day count. Stay safe. Peace.